What's up, friends? Aaron here at Boardscape. Thank you for joining me. Today is going to be our first mega week when it comes to board games and Kickstarter in 2021. We are going to have 11 games for you, with many of them being high-profile releases. Let's get started. If you've not subscribed, then go ahead and click that button below, and go ahead and take a look at the Patreon where you can win some free games, and check out what you can buy someone that you love in your life down below. Stroganov is going to be our first big game. Now, Stroganov is going to be a medium-weight Euro that takes place in the conquering of Siberia, as far as I understand. And it's going to be for 1 to 4 people, play in about 2 hours, which, from what I've seen, seems to be correct, and it's been doing okay. 145,000, 19 days to go, over 2,100 backers. I think people expected this to do better than it is, but it's still not doing bad. Now, this is going to have a combination that is forced to be reckoned with between Stedding and Janik. Stedding did Gugong and these other games. Janik has done the art for Robinson Crusoe, Predaporter, Detective, and you can tell by both the layout and the art that so much passion goes into this game. And look at this. This is absolutely beautiful, both in the both in the symbols, the art, the layout. It all looks so good. Now, you're going to be, in this game, working through 4 years and 4 seasons, so you're going to have 16 turns. And in it, you're going to be trying to gather food, resources, what you need to survive while exploring Siberia. So, one thing to note is that there have been quite a few threads on BGG and Reddit and other places that mention the theme of this game, right? Now, I'm just putting it out there. Personally, it does not bother me whatsoever, but if you are adverse to the killing of animals, then this is not going to be a game for you, as there's a lot of hunting and getting pelts and stuff. It's thematic, right? So that's what they did when they went into Siberia. They got these furs. They got what they needed from these animals. I could rant about that all day, that this is a historical piece, but whatever. Moving on. If that is something that might bother you, then I'd look into this a little more before backing. But overall, there have been amazing, Rado calls it phenomenal, amazing people saying amazing things about this game. Typical Kickstarter stuff. This art, again, on this board looks absolutely amazing. Now, one thing to note is there are going to be a lot of pieces in this, and as a Kickstarter exclusive, you do get a custom insert by Meeple Maker, and it does look good. So, keep that in mind. You're going to have different player boards, different landscapes that you're exploring throughout Siberia. And now here's going to be a look at the furs. So you're going to be killing these animals throughout the game, relatively speaking. And then you're going to get more of the typical stuff throughout the game. Metal coins are a Kickstarter exclusive. Wooden horses instead of little cubes. Stuff like that. Typical Kickstarter stuff. So if this is a game that interests you, if you're into medium weight Euros, I would strongly check this out. There are plenty of videos out there going into depth on this, and it really does look like a good campaign and a fun game as well. So that's Stroganov. Next, we have Mouse, Cheese, Cat, Cucumber. Now, this might be the most uncreative creative game name that I've seen in a long time. You see, nobody's going to name their game Mouse, Cheese, Cat, Cucumber. But these guys did, and they literally just took the names of their 4 characters and put them as the title. So, in this game, it's going to be up to 4 player and play very fast as it shows. You're going to have 4 characters. The cheese is just trying to live. They're trying to be friends with everybody. The mouse is trying to get the cheese. The cat is trying to get the mouse, and the cucumber is trying to get everybody. And as you see, as you turn the tiles, you can add tiles, turn tiles, and you're going to then follow the steps to the end of the path. And that's basically going to be the game. It's a tile laying game where you're trying to get your pieces on top of other pieces before other pieces get your pieces. So it's not very expensive, $13 for the standard edition. If you want a quick, fun, little family game that you can take in your book bag, then this looks to be like one that might be worth considering. Now, of course, they do have bigger things and more things that you can do and get rewards and all that stuff. But next up, we have Lawklivya Vengeance. This is going to be doing okay. Again, 163 backers, 24 days to go, $9,000 raised. This was actually not a game that I had heard of, and it looks okay to me. You get, for $40, you're going to get $40, you're going to get the base game, standard edition, and then they have retailer pledges as well. Basically, this is going to be a resource gathering game that you guys are playing together, where you have this central board filled with resources, and 4 of you trying to keep hordes that are trying to enter your castle out. And this is going to be one of those games where if one of you loses, all of you lose, so you're working together. You're going to be placing your meeples on here, gathering resources, but also trying not to take resources that others need. And so there's that little balance there of, I need this, but so does this person across from me. Which one of us is this going to be better for? Who would be screwed more by going with the second option? And then you're going to turn those resources into weapons, which will then stop the enemies from entering. And that's going to be the basis of the game. So it's relatively simple, relatively easy. There's some dice stuff going on to defeat enemies. Just, it's not for me, but it looks like it could be a quick, fun little game for a family. So that's Lawklivya Vengeance. Next, we have Shadow Tactics, the board game. This is actually going to be the second time this has been on Kickstarter. The first being a couple years ago. This is going to be adding the solo co-op Ronin expansion. So with almost 350 backers, $28,000 raised, 10 days to go, Shadow Tactics is doing about what I think most people expected it to, right? It wasn't a super popular game to begin with, but it seemed intriguing, especially with these layouts. This is going to be a one versus everybody else game, where one person is controlling these yellow dudes, and the others are controlling these blue guys. And they're trying to basically destroy your forces, and you're trying to stop them. Now, one of the fun things of this game is that all the Shadow Warriors have to talk in front of the bad guy, right? So they're trying to come up with strategy while being secretive, and it's a very intriguing thing because obviously the one versus everybody else is listening to everybody else as they talk and could easily block their plans if they lay it all out just straight away. Now, on top of that, one of the cool things about this is you do see this, what is that, a hexagon, where, right here, where the blue guy, depending on where he is, you can see him up here a bit, is only blocking the direction that he's facing. So, as you saw in the example below, he wasn't facing who he needed to face, and therefore he's going to die. So it's got some fun, interesting little different things, and if you're a fan of the video game, then why not get this, right? I think it was, if you want the base game, it's going to be $72. If you want everything, the expansion as well, it's going to be $91. And $114 for everything. Now, if you already have Shadow Tactics, then you can just do the add-on pledge here and be able to get some of those add-ons. So that's Shadow Tactics, the board game. Next, we have one that this wasn't on my radar at all, but I am very much considering backing it because it seems different enough that it would get played. So it's doing okay. This is Block and Key. At $50,000 raised, 17 days to go, 1,100 backers. Yeah, that's about what I would expect for this. This is going to be a puzzle game that plays in 20 to 40 minutes for 1 to 4 people. Now, the thing about this is that you have this layout, right? The board, actually, here, let's see. The board turns in to, we can see here. So you're going to turn the board into the arena, into the play area. Now, one concern I do have as we watch this is with the tree that came with Everdell. After putting it together and taking it apart a whole bunch of times, it really just started to fall apart to the point of not even being able to put it together anymore. I'm hoping that this board holds up over time as well. It does look a lot easier to put together than that tree, which was a pain in the butt. But overall, I'm a little worried about the box. So, what is this game? It is an abstract game that is played with all sides. So you are going to probably be walking around this. Keep that in mind, because you're going to have tiles like this that give you a pattern that you need to finish. And as you can see here, they finish it in this direction. Now, with this being a 4-direction thing, there's going to be a lot of different combinations that can be done, things that you might not see right away. So, as we go down, we'll see that the block placement rules. You're going to be placing these blocks face to face with blocks here. This is the top-down view. This is the side view. On this side view, they have completed this tile here. And that's how you're going to be getting points and winning the game, is by completing tiles. As you scroll down a little more, we're going to see that they, like this one here, it had 4 greens and 2 whites, and they did it. They don't all have to be right next to each other, as long as you look at the board straight on, you are completing one of these tiles. So, very interesting, very different for a different kind of Tetris-y game. I'm interested, and it's going to only be $43, so really not bad at all for even just to be able to try this. Next up, we have one of the big daddies of the week, Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition, with over $634,000 raised, 9,334 backers so far, 12 days to go. This is going to be the Terraforming Mars card game. Now, there have been a billion jokes out there already about how Terraforming Mars is already a card game. I'm going to actually have a video coming out within a week saying who I think would like Terraforming Mars. So if you think it's just a card game, go ahead and give that video a watch. When that comes out, I'll link it at the end of this video. Now, Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition is literally going to be Terraforming Mars, but smaller and faster. It's going to have updated art, as well as like a small player board. And one of the fun things about this game is that it's going to have a action selection sequence where every turn you are selecting one of, I think, 5 different actions. And only one of them will be out of your hand. Everything else will be in your hand already. So you're not going to have be able to take the same action every time. You're going to have to mix it up, and that also gives your opponents a little bit of leeway to see what you've already done, what you might be headed towards, stuff like that. So if you like Terraforming Mars, this looks like a quicker version of that. I'm fine with Terraforming Mars as it is. I don't have a desire to get this right away. One thing to note is that this will go to retail, and you will 100% for sure be able to get this cheaper than you can now. You see, it's going to cost you $40 plus $11 shipping to the US. That's $50 for this game. I will wait and get it 6, 7, 8 months after it's released to stores and get it for $30. So keep that in mind. You're basically paying for the privilege to get it up front. There's nothing hardly Kickstarter exclusive about this except for a couple promo cards, which you might even be able to get cheaper elsewhere, like the BGG marketplace. Which leads me to one thing. If you have Terraforming Mars and you are looking for the promos, then the promos are $15 every day on the BGG marketplace, but they're selling them here as an add-on. Where is it? They're selling them here. I thought they had them on here. For $25. So it's going to be $10 more than just going to the BGG marketplace. Make sure you do some research before purchasing anything because of reasons like that. So, Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. Let me know if you're a fan of Terraforming Mars below, and while you're down there, make sure to subscribe. Next, we have Ransom Notes, which, again, is doing relatively well. And this is going to be your typical party game, where in the game, the one person is going to be the detective and have a card that they read, the judge, they call them. So, and then the other 4 people, or whoever else is playing, is going to have a blank card and a list of words, and they're trying to make the funniest sentence they can out of those words. And then they turn them in, the judge votes on which is his favorite, and that wins. Basically, this is like every other party game there is, where you're handing in cards, apples to apples type games, except this one's closer to Cards Against Humanity. This is not going to be a family game. For this example, write the eulogy for your boss whom you openly despise. Was his doormat, him nasty poop, never listens mean. So if you like party games, then this might add enough of a twist to catch your attention. It'd be $33. Again, if it comes out in stores, I would expect to see this at Target or Barnes and Noble in a couple years for $20. Anyways, it's there if you're into that stuff. One of the big ones this week, again, it's going to be BloodStone. 287,000, 2,600 backers, 19 days to go. This is not doing as well as I think most people expected it to. And I think I heard it best when I read that this person was more excited about BloodStone last year than they are now. And that was my problem as well. I was excited for this game when they announced it and for a couple months after. And with everything else coming out, I'm just not as excited as I was. It's because things like Tenaris came out over the last year. Arena of the Conflict got back on Kickstarter and really took a lot of people's attention away from this. But if you are interested in this, this is what this game is. It's an arena conflict game with 8 asymmetric champions, each going to play completely different than the others. And you're going to either be doing PvP against each other to the death, or you're going to be fighting in a PvE style against these monsters. And again, they're going to have 8 different monsters. So 8 characters, 8 monsters to fight. That's a lot of different ways to play this game, and I think that you would get your $125 worth. Now, this is primarily going to be a dice rolling game with cards. Now, if you played Arena of the Conflict, you're going to know that that's going to be mainly a card game. This, BloodStone, is mainly a dice game. And you're going to be rolling dice to attack and to defend and to do specials and all sorts of things. The way that you roll is very interesting, so be sure to check that out. The expansion is going to add 1 additional enemy, and you can get everything, the Legendary Edition, for 200, 160 for the Champion, and 125 for the Warrior. I'm in at $1 right now, considering going 125. One cool thing is that they will be making a book to come out alongside this game that gives you some background on the characters and enemies and the queen here that has the BloodStone. Just all this stuff. I like that. I like having lore to my games, and if I end up with BloodStone, then I'll probably read this book. Let me know what you think about lore in games and how far they go with it sometimes. Would you read a book like this? Next, we're going to have Beasts of Balance. And this is going to be a different kind of game that I don't really understand. But just want to make you aware that it's out again. I know this is the second time it's been out. And this is actually adding Rebirth, which is a little bit different. But you're going to have an app. And that app is going to be connected to this base. And as you build up your characters and try to hold them in place, as you see here, they're like a stacking game, then the stuff happening on the iPad or on the app is going to change as well. So it's like this app integration tower building game. And as you play, you'll be leveling up your characters and doing all sorts of things like that. Again, not really sure if I guess they got legendaries for 20 apiece, a T-Rex and a Phoenix. That seems like a lot, but okay. The Lost Beasts expansion for 30 comes with a couple dinosaurs. Just, this is the world of Rebirth. If you know exactly what this game is, if you could tell me in like 5 sentences or less, go ahead and leave it below, because I'm curious but not enough to look. Now, Zombicide Undead or Alive has raised over $1 million, 11,000 backers, and 17 days to go. It's, I think, about what Zombicide has been doing recently over the last several years. Everybody pretty much knows what Zombicide is. If you don't, then Zombicide is going to be a game where you're playing as some heroes trying to stop undead hordes while completing a mission. And you're going to have different kinds of zombies, like the walkers and the fatties and the abomination, this big red guy here, runners, and they all do slightly different things. Some move faster, some take more hits to kill. It's your typical zombie fare, where you're rolling dice, seeing how much you hit, and just hoping for the best. I love Zombicide. I love playing this with my wife, and so I'm looking forward to this edition as well for a couple reasons. First is going to be the classes. This is going to be one of the first times that they've added classes. There's actually going to be 4 of them. The Gunslinger is going to be able to shoot more. The Brawler is going to be able to combine 2 actions in one, where they can charge forward and use a melee weapon for a single action. The Faithful are going to be able to immobilize hordes of zombies and even destroy corpse piles. And finally, the Townsfolk are going to be able to search for equipment more than once per turn. So all of these are going to be doing different things and change up the way you play. And depending on who you're playing as is going to change what your group does as well. I like that extra little bit of nuance in a game like this. Shake it up a bit. On top of that, we're going to have things like being able to have improved line of sight on balconies. There's going to be a train, which you can see the 3 tiles here. You can have your basic 9 tiles, and then 3 train tiles, with train tracks on one side and the train on the other. As it barrels through the town, it will be destroying and killing all the zombies in its path, and possibly even you, so get out of the way. There's going to be a Gatling gun, and just a dynamite, all the basic stuff that you would expect. A big weapon of some sorts, the explosive. This is Zombicide. Nothing is really changing. It's still the same game as it always has been, but in a Western setting. So, one thing to note is that the base pledge is $100. They've already released a couple add-ons and will continue to do so. I believe in the end it's going to cost at least $250 to get the all-in, but you don't need that. If you're interested in the game, if you're interested in Zombicide, you can always just get the $100 pledge, which is what I plan to do. And they're going to give you a whole bunch of Kickstarter exclusives because this is CMON, come on, whatever, however you say it, CMON. So in the base game, you're going to end up with 14 different characters, and the stretch goals have already added almost 30 additional ones that you can play as, including some legendary characters like Billy the Kid, Jesse James, and Butch Cassidy. And as you see, they cover the gamut when it comes to the 4 different classes. Now, the daily duels are different than stretch goals. Every day, they're giving a different walker zombie type. You've got Pussbag, which is the additional abomination. You've got the Station Master so far, who's a walker that moves faster on trains. And the Revenant goes, when you kill him, respawns at the closest corpse pile. So just some fun ways to change up the game whenever you want. It's Zombicide, guys. If you are interested in Zombicide, then you already know what it is. If you aren't really sure what it is, then check out the other 9 versions. See if any of them speak to you more, and try one of those first. You'll definitely be able to get them cheaper. So, Zombicide, Undead or Alive. There's a link right above here to see who I think should back this. Finally, we have Paladins of the West Kingdom, City of Crowns. This is going to be the Paladins expansion. 270,000 raised so far, 3,900 backers, 11 days to go. It adds what you would expect from an expansion for a game like Paladins, right? So it adds a sideboard that gives you some additional things that you can do. It adds new townsfolk, outsiders, paladins, king's favors, and orders, updated solo rules, just additional of what is already there pretty much, with a couple things changing. Yeah, if you're a fan of Paladins, then you really can't go wrong for $28. About $10 shipping, $38. You might be able to save $5 or $10 if you wait for retail, but if you're a fan of Paladins, then is that $5 or $10 going to really stop you? The other thing of note, though, is that they will have a collector's box that holds everything, all Paladins content in one box. That has always been a big thing that people have complained about, is the fact that these games have a hard time going into the box. This collector's edition gives you everything that you need for both the expansion and the base game in one box. So it's Paladins. You've got Architects, you've got Paladins, you've got Viscounts. They're all different. They're all of the West Kingdom series. Be sure to check them out if you haven't before. But if you haven't, then start with Architects. Don't start with Paladins. There are going to be people who say Paladins is their favorite or the best out of them. But if you've not played a game like this, then Paladins is probably going to be a bit overwhelming, with all the different options and different paths that you can choose to score your victory points. So, those are going to be the games this week. Thank you for joining me, and let me know which one of these you are backing, which you are looking the most excited towards, and if I missed any campaigns that are going on. Be sure to go down, hit that subscribe button. Be sure to hit like if you found this content worthwhile. Yeah, check out the Patreon. I have free games that I'm giving out every month, and if you want a chance to win those, just click that button below to figure out how. It'll be the top pinned post on the Patreon. So, free games are nice. As always, thank you, and have a good night. Nope, that's not it. Game on.